medical report today. So Alvin was a DMP with the knee and ankle. Tolly was limited with the ankle. Devin was limited with the ankle. CO was limited with the back. So those are just the 4 guys listed on there. Obviously, from a roster standpoint, made a few moves yesterday. Obviously, the one that's going to be noteworthy is releasing Blake. We signed Cade to the practice squad, and obviously we'll let Cade and Charlie kind of go through this week's process and make a decision on the back end of the week and be ready to roll. So.
Is that a competition, like is it, or is it?
Yeah, they'll both get an opportunity to kick tomorrow, and we'll just kind of see where everything progresses, and feel good about both those guys. They've kicked well, and so we're excited for those guys.
Did Chris ever return to practice after he left, or he never came back?
Yeah, he just had a little thing with the back, limited him today. No big deal. So.
I mean, did that prevent him from practicing, or he came back unlimited?
Yeah, he was just limited today, just with what he could do. Today was mostly a walkthrough practice for us, anyways. So what we did was kind of a little bit of some speed work early in practice, and then after that, we kind of got to more of a walkthrough tempo with the rest of practice, and so we're good to go.
Is Alvin's the kind of thing when you expect him maybe to miss a week or two, or do you think he's got a shot?
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Let the week play itself out. Let the medical side of this thing really go for it, and so we'll see how this thing progresses.
Are you optimistic that Devin will be okay?
Yeah, Devin was limited, so he was still able to practice out there. Again, mostly a walkthrough setting for us today, but he was able to move around in the movement periods, and then in the walkthrough he was clean. And so those guys are just on a maintenance thing. They just got to work through it.
What's like the recovery factor, like when you're deciding which games use a lot of tempo and then like which ones that maybe not?
Probably factors in starting with how the defense reacts to tempo. That's one thing, and then second is usually you'd love to get to a ton of tempo, but you got to get to it in ideal situations. You got to be conscious of the other side of the football, as the other side of the football played a ton of snaps. When we're speaking about our defense, for example, this last game, our defense was on the field a lot early in the game. You got to be conscious of that. And as the drives extend, then you provide yourself a little bit more time to play with some tempo, and so something we'd always like to do, but you got to put yourself. You got to have positive gains on first down to lead into second and third and earn first downs, and that's the way you can play with tempo.
What did you like about Cade in the tryout process?
Yeah, I thought he kicked well yesterday. We went through a process, obviously, as we had discussed. I think he's a guy who has kicked in this league before a couple times now. He's continued to progress. These guys get better each and every opportunity. Even when it's kicking is a unique experience where you're continuing to develop. Even if you're not on a roster, there's so much development going on their own with kicking specialists and different people, and their training continues to grow. And so I felt like he kicked well yesterday and earned the opportunity to be in here.
Did he get better than Justin Tucker, or was this something like
No, we went through a process and kicked all those guys yesterday. Made a decision that we were going to sign Cade, and Charlie's here, and Charlie has kicked well lately, and so we're just going to go through a due diligence thing. We did it with running backs and receivers as well.
And how did Blake factor into that? I mean, was there anything yesterday that could have sounded like you guys kind of made the decision that you needed to change?
I mean, we talked through it. It was going to be an evaluation process for those other 3. See how that thing went yesterday. Felt like there was some good work in there for those guys, and so felt comfortable with making this move. It's not easy. I think the world of Blake. He's going to be a really good kicker in this league, and if you look at the history of a lot of kickers in this league, they have maybe a moment similar to this where they got to navigate something. They respond really, really well. He's going to kick in this league for a long time. He's going to have a ton of success, kind of navigating this.
And then with Cade, obviously you brought in 2 guys. One was a veteran and one was a young player, so there wasn't a clear rhyme or reason. But do you like the idea of it being a 24-year-old who you can evaluate over these 6-7 weeks and more of that developmental aspect or something?
No, that's a good question. I think you can kick in this league for a long time. We do feel like at the end of the day it was the best decision for our team. Felt like Cade kicked well yesterday, and so I think that's the most important part of it. We felt like he kicked well, earned the opportunity. It wasn't necessarily an age thing. It was felt like he kicked well, and Charlie has kicked well, and so we got 2 guys that will continue to develop here.
6 straight games, you'll have not reached 20 points. No offensive touchdowns last week. Obviously, not what you're used to. Where does fixing that start? What has to be the launching point for getting that done?
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously, that's not the formula. That's something we got to do a better job there. I think it starts with run the football on first and second down and having the ability to, be consistent in that element. You got to be more efficient on first and second down. Put yourself in, obviously, more favorable third downs, and then ultimately finish drives with touchdowns. And that's the most important factor of this thing. And we haven't been able to get that done consistently enough. We've had moments. I think that's the thing that, there's individual players that have really good moments, individual drives that have really good moments. It's just about the consistency and the details of being able to perform at that high of a level for, and sustain it over the course of a game and drives and all that stuff.
Was there kind of an added emphasis on getting kind of from the high red zone to low red zone this past week with the one game? It seemed like, a lot of run.
Yeah, we ran the ball a lot in there. Felt like there were some opportunities there. Felt like we progressed well and gained some yards. We just weren't able to finish it really inside the 5-yard line. And so that was a little bit of the story of that game. Unfortunate, frustrating. We missed those opportunities because I felt like we did a good job of continuing to run the football to get in that favorable situation, and we just weren't able to get the very end.
I feel like there was a hip drop tackle on Alvin's injury, or
I don't know. We'll always evaluate those things. We'll obviously, they always communicate. They always do a good job of communicating if anything were to come up. But there's always dialogue with those guys.
If he wasn't able to go, or if he can't play Sunday, how confident are you in Devin? And based on what you've seen the past couple of weeks, how has he grown as a player in this offense?
Yeah, I think Devin's doing really well. He's progressed really, really well. Once we lost Kendre, he was ready to just hop up there and take advantage of opportunities. I thought protection has always been a strong suit of his, and he's shown that from going all the way back to college. This past game, the thing that you're most excited about is he made some plays. He made some explosives off of simple check down plays where he was able to gain some yards there. Had a nice explosive essentially on a screen, and so there were some positive plays in there. I think his confidence is growing. And you're excited about him as well as these younger guys. We signed a couple guys during the middle of the season that we feel good about as well that are hopping in here, and they're ready for the opportunity as well.
Can you share a little bit about what you've seen from Audric Estime since he's been here?
Really impressed with how quickly he was able to adapt. Physical player. He can do a variety of things. I think just the physicality definitely shows up. You can recognize that. But again, I think for his ability to acclimate this quickly and be a smart, heady player, understands the system, understands the responsibilities. We've felt very comfortable very quickly with him.
When your personnel changes, like specifically at receiver, she goes, does that change your philosophy of like what you're putting in, how you design, and how you want to attack? Like, how does that affect like the global picture of the offense?
Yeah, there's always little nuances that change as the personnel changes. There's certain things that she does that are really, really special. And so, at the same time, Tip, I thought, did a bunch of really good stuff in this game. I thought his ability to hop in there, play a bunch of snaps, and, I thought he won on some routes, whether the ball came to him or not. I thought there's some evidence to support that he had a really good game. Vele's continued to play this really, really important role for us, and that'll continue for moving forward for a while. And so he does a ton of stuff in the run game, the action game that it will provide, and then I thought he made some really good contested catches in the middle of the field. And so, those guys all have different skill sets, different opportunities, and so, we just got to adjust as we go.
I was going to ask, what do you think allowed him to have that success kind of in that short area, kind of popping open, kind of quick over the middle?
Yeah, I thought credit to Tyler. There were some pressure situations where he recognized the pressure, was able to get the ball out of his hands. Vele did a really good job of staying thin through the slant and being able to catch the ball in some contested situations, which is important.
Along those lines, without Brandon Cooks, AK's injured, McCoy's injured, Sheed's gone. There's a leadership dynamic that kind of is changing on that side of the ball. How does that affect that side of the ball, in particular leadership, and then maybe does it give an opportunity for some of your younger guys that haven't been in that position to step into that?
Yeah, I think you hit it. It's all about opportunity for these guys. For Tyler, for Tolly, for Kelvin, for a bunch of these guys. The perimeter guys, CO, I think, has been a great lead by example guy. I think his work ethic, the way he practices, has been a great example to the younger guys. The voices are starting to rise, and I think that's a good thing. Those guys are finding their space, how they can lead in their own personality and their own situation. Obviously, it's going to be an important development thing for our roster as we continue to grow.
What are some of the ways that you sort of identify progress for players in that situation that might not necessarily reflect on the scoreboard or a record? What are you
I think for the younger guys, just their comfort level in the system, their ability to communicate. I think that's always a sign when they can communicate with their guys. That's a sense that they really know the responsibilities and they know what they're being asked to do, and you can sense that. And then I think it's just all the little. I don't think it's a rah-rah speech. We don't need to have these big rah-rah speeches by individuals and ask Tyler to go up there and do a Newt Rockne thing or anything like that. It's how they lead, when they're breaking down the period or when there's a mistake that happens on the field or there's a correction or hey, I want this route a little bit different. All those little nuances when you get guys that have that comfort level to communicate at a really high level, I think that's the most important aspect of it.
Have you noticed that from Justin Reed at all, or just kind of the impact?
Yeah, going back to when you look at it from the whole team perspective, I think Justin's an incredible leader. His focus, his details, the way he plays, the way he prepares, it's really, really special. He's a guy that, you just want to show a lot of young guys, just say, hey, watch this guy. Watch this guy. Watch the way he works, the way he trains, everything he does during the week. He is the perfect example for what that means to be.
Cam and Demario, a little bit older, is it important to have that in the newer defensive voice and kind of usher them along?
I think there's I think we got some good leadership on the defensive side, and I think that's a great testament to those guys. Cam and Demario have led this for a long time. They'll continue to lead it. Justin, Grando, Chase, Pete, the younger back end guys, we got a lot of guys I think that practice the right way, train the right way, have the right mindset, and I'm excited for those guys to continue to grow.
What have you made of Cam's season this year?
Yeah, I thought excellent leadership. I thought he's made some impactful plays in some critical situations. I think you've seen the evidence to support. He's still playing. He's still playing really well. And so, the past few weeks he's made a couple impact plays. Really, the last 2 weeks he's made a huge impact play that were sacks. And so you continue to see that, and you can sense. He does a really good job with the younger guys, just guiding them along the way as well.
When you look at it, the last couple of years, his numbers have been down just in terms of pass rushing production. Did you see more there that wasn't there this last year?
I think he's done some nice work this year. Obviously, not factoring in the past few years when I wasn't here. I think he's done some really good work. I think he's continued to battle. He was asked to play a lot of snaps early just because of Chase, and I think now we've kind of found this nice rotation for all these edge rushers and allowed them all to kind of play and rotate and play at a really high level.
When you're looking at the Dolphins, do you see anything? What do you see as the difference in the last 2 weeks? What has it been that's sort of woken them up in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, the speed's come alive on offense. They've made some plays, with their skill players. From a defense perspective, they're just doing an excellent job. They're playing really, really sound football. I think limited explosive plays, not a ton of passing yards. The last 3 games essentially is somewhere in that 13 to 10 point range. They're just playing really good football.
Can you learn everything you need to know about a quarterback in 8-9 games? Is that a big enough sample to kind of feel confident by the end?
You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot 2 years and 3 years and 4 years. And, I think there's a lot of growth each and every year for quarterbacks. I think I watched Matthew. Matthew had an interview with Jason Garrett on Sunday Night Football. And so I watched that just because I know both those guys pretty well. And, it's a good reminder of his journey, through Detroit and through all those experiences and going to Los Angeles. And, there's a lot of quarterbacks that go a lot of different paths, and just the growth is just each and every week, each and every opportunity. And they're not all going to be perfect, but you're going to get to grow each and every time. And, I feel like Tyler's doing a really good job the last few weeks.
Just to clarify, after the game, Taysom said that for Alvin's injury, he did some things that he had no time on task with.
Yep.
In the sense of, it wasn't necessarily in the plan that week, or was he has to do things that he just had never done in general?
It was just playing some of the running back stuff, which, obviously he's had limited roles in the past few years. Once we kind of lost Alvin for the rest of the game, really, we were going to need Taysom just to alleviate some of that running back role a little bit. And so it was stuff that, was probably he hasn't necessarily done recently at all, but, he prepares the right way. He's always ready to rock and roll. And so, it was awesome. He gave us some really good third down runs that were incredible to get us some first downs.
How is he lined up 8-9 yards back on one of his handoffs? Is that just because how he prefers to see?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. And just does his presence make it easier? You're only at 2 running backs up on the last several weeks? Is that because you know he can?
He provided an insurance role. The tight ends provided a little bit of a protection insurance role. It's not something you ideally love to do a ton of. Obviously, it kind of last week, losing Alvin that quickly kind of put us in a little bit of a goofy spot. But we'll see how it progresses. Obviously, Taysom has the ability to do so many different things. He kind of helps solve a lot of things, which is pretty special.
With him providing that insurance, but not having kind of gotten the time on task for that role, is it just challenging sometimes with the amount of things that he does to kind of get everything in a week?
Yeah, it's special. Obviously, his ability to do this for however many years he's done it now, it's a testament to him. He has an amazing ability to be able to prepare in so many different facets of the offense. There's run blocking surfaces, there's pass game, there's run game, there's the potential of a quarterback play. His ability to prepare for all these different things is really impressive.
Is this explosiveness been limited by coming off an injury? Like, are you still seeing that same burst?
I think he's playing really good football. Obviously, collectively for all of us, we're trying to find some more explosive plays here and there. But I thought he's been battling really well.
This might be confirmation bias, but it seems like every time you guys do a drive where you kind of go under center and you're like, we're going to go heavy run the ball, like it's been really successful. Like, why doesn't that blend? Like, is that hard to blend in with? Like, is that circumstantial, or like why isn't there more of that?
Just under center game in general.
Under center game in general, just kind of that approach. Like,
Yeah.
It works. Very well.
Yeah, no, I think under center games, obviously, there's a lot of positives to it. The ability to run the football, you're not, leaning into which way you're running or not running. Tying the pass game is always important. There's a protection component of it when you're under center that you have to be a little bit conscious of. But I think we've added it as we've gone kind of the last few weeks. And so I think, probably you've seen us play more under center lately, and we'll probably continue to do that. I think the bigger personnel definitely provide you that opportunity. Obviously, third downs are third downs, and some of the passing situations, you're going to be a little bit more gun-oriented there. But I think it's been a fun thing that we've been able to add to it.
Can a play caller have a bad day? You know what I mean? Like, can you just here's a 3rd and 4 menu, and you just pick the wrong one or something, and you have to kind of, I wish I had that one back kind of thing? Could it happen?
Every game, it happens. I learned that really quickly the first year I called plays. No matter what happens, good or bad, you're always going to have plays you want back. It's like in any profession, you're always going to learn and grow from each and every experience. And so, yeah.
Is there a sense of kind of a play caller having to have the short-term memory or the short memory that we talk about for like defensive backs and things like that? Like, is that something that as a play caller you have to have as well?
Yeah, I mean, you got to move on. Obviously, things happen really quickly. You have a few seconds between each play to make a decision, and you got to make decisions fast and give our guys a chance to compete.